It was about a year ago at the RSC retreat. Dick Armey spoke to a group of conservatives, us conservatives there, and he made a statement that I've never forgotten. In fact, I've been using it in every speech this whole campaign season. He said, when we act like us, we win. When we act like them, we lose. And it's so important to remember that we acted like us this entire campaign season, frankly, the last couple years. I mean, I give the Eric Cantor and the Whips team, I give them credit. You know, all of us voting no on the stimulus, all of us fighting health care. What we saw manifest itself across this country and really come to the wave crest really on November 2nd was just amazing to see. When we act like us, America wins. That's more important. And now the hard work is for us to act like us as we as we take over in January and do the right thing. So I'm excited about where we're at. I was talking with someone last night. We introduced a balanced budget, the only balanced budget in Congress last April. Offered it as an alternative to the Obama budget, frankly as an alternative to our own Republican conference budget. And got 111 votes. And we outlined a position going back to pre-stimulus, pre-bailout, pre-craziness spending levels, 2008 non-defense discretionary levels, going back to 2008 levels. And now that's the position. So again, conservative position, you're seeing more and more of what we've been advocating over the last couple of years actually come to fruition and people taking those positions. And you're going to see it even more next year when we pass policy and do the things we're all about. And you all know what the election was about: cutting spending, not raising taxes on any single American, and repealing health care. And then I would add the fourth thing is not forgetting those basic fundamental values that make us a great country in the first place. Respect for human life, respect for the family and that key institution that ultimately determines the strength of our entire culture, and respect for the work ethic in the free market. That's what we're about. When we stick to our principles, good things happen. They're the party of government, we're the party of principles. We've got to stick to our principles. So I'll stop and I'll take questions, and you can kick me out whenever you need to. Yeah?
There's been talk that you were looking to be heading up to the Republican Study Committee. How would you be leading up differently than, say, Congressman Gohmert?
That's going to be decided this week. I am very interested in that. The challenge, let me go back to Mr. Armey's statement. We act like us, we win. We act like them, we lose. It's much easier to act like us when you're in the minority. It's harder to act like us when you're in the majority. That's what intrigues me about the potential to lead RSC and frankly help harness and direct the energy of these 80 people coming in. So that's what I'm fired up about. I hope I get the opportunity, but that hasn't been decided. The truth is it starts this afternoon. We have the interview process this afternoon. Louis Gohmert's a great colleague, conservative, who thinks like we do on the issues. So I don't want to say anything bad about Louis because I think he's a good guy and a friend. But I'm intrigued. That's always been my role. When I was in the State House, State Senate, back in the Ohio legislature, my role was always being one of those conservatives who from time to time had to nudge and push our leadership in a conservative Republican. When I took over, I'll tell you a quick story. I took over, this is how dumb I was when I first got elected. I took over in '94, we election with, Republicans took over the world. We took over Ohio House for the first time in 20 years. Joanne Davidson, God bless her, good lady, but not with us on a lot of issues that are important to me, particularly the life issue. And so she became the first speaker in 20 years, Republican speaker. And we had, if you remember back in '95, the big push for Republicans was welfare reform. And we did a lot of good things, frankly. So we had a welfare reform bill that was moving through and had bipartisan support. Everyone was for this thing. And we were in caucus the night before we were going to go on the floor and actually debate and vote on the bill. And again, I'm just a dumb rookie. I'm just sitting there, and they're talking about what's in the bill, and they go through it all. And there's job training, there's education, all this good stuff. But they get all done, and there was what I would call tough love. There was no tough love component. There was no time limits on able-bodied adults. And so I raised my hand, and they called on me, and I said, well, where's I like all that's in here, but where's the time limits? Where's the tough love component that we need? Well, Jim, we can't do that. And they give you a million reasons why you shouldn't do what you know you should do. And frankly, what I had told the voters I was going to do if I got elected. And so they did that, and they got done, and I raised my hand a second time. And it's funny how like some of your colleagues start looking at you like, hey, idiot, the speaker's just spoken. You're supposed to be quiet. And I said, well, Joanne, if I understand the rules correctly, can't I offer an amendment tomorrow which will say if you're an able-bodied adult, after 2 years, we're no longer going to pay you for not working? And then it gets kind of quiet, and your colleagues kind of start looking down because they think, what is this bozo doing? The speaker is spoken. And she says, well, da-da-da-da-da, and there'll be another bill coming. I quickly learned there's never a second bill. You got to jump on the train that's moving. And So I said, finally, I said, look, you all want to vote against me? That's fine, but tomorrow I'm going to offer an amendment. That'll say after 2 years, game's over. And if you want to vote no and you can go back home and defend that, God bless you. But if you want to vote yes and do the right thing, you're going to have an opportunity tomorrow because I'm offering the amendment. And you do it with a smile on your face. You always want to be the happy warrior. And it was funny because it's amazing how many of your colleagues suddenly find Jesus, if you know what I mean. They're like, wow, this guy's actually going to do it. And they're like, God bless you, Jim. I was with you all along. And the next day, truly, I was scared to death. It's first speech I ever gave on the House floor. First thing I ever got passed. Stood up, scared to death, said this is good for every single taxpayer. It's good for families who have to pay taxes. It's good for families stuck in this system. It's the tough love nudge they need to get out of this lifestyle. And sat down, scared to death. You know, it was chaos. They called me all kind of mean-spirited, hard-hearted, good-for-nothing, low-down, everything. It passed. Democrats started walking up, taking their name off the bill. But it's the law, and it's helped a lot of families. So that's the challenge when you're in the majority, doing it in the right way, picking the right fights, picking the right issues, and then pushing your conference to do what we told the voters we were going to do when we ran for the job. And that's what intrigues me about the RSC position, and we'll find out here sometime this week.
You mentioned earlier that it's hard for, once the Republicans get in Congress and the majority, it's hard for them to act like the conservatives that they are. Do you think that this will happen this time, and what challenges do you foresee?
Well, no, I think coming out of the gate you're going to see us do the right thing, which is cut spending in a dramatic way, not some symbolic way, in a dramatic way. Make sure taxes aren't going to go up for any American, and repeal health care. So I think we are going to do the right thing. And mostly because the American people are watching. They're watching closely, and we all saw what happened on November 2nd. So I am optimistic that you will see in the House we do exactly what we told the voters we were going to do when we ran for the job. And that's repeal Obamacare, make sure taxes stay low, and get after the spending.
You know, it's important to communicate with the voters, and you mentioned earlier that every time you try to convey a conservative idea, they call you names like mean or cold-hearted.
That's the left, yeah.
Right. So how do you go about correcting these comments?
No, you just argue the truth. The truth, the good thing is conservatives have the truth on their side. America is better when we have a free enterprise, free market system. America is better when we don't tax and regulate business owners and families to death. We let families keep more of their money so they can spend it on their kids, their grandkids, their goals, their dreams, their objectives. Americans instinctively know that. So we just got to convey the truth. I mean, you got to do it in an articulate way. You got to be able to put a couple sentences together and communicate that. So our job is just to convey the truth, continue to talk, and stand for it. I believe the American people will reward those elected officials who do exactly what they told the voters they were going to do when they applied for the job.
You mentioned the Republican Party is the party of principle. What principles do you hope the freshman Republicans will embody?
Just what our party's about, and frankly, again, the things they told the voters they were all about when they ran for the job. Strong national defense. In this terrorist, dangerous world we live in, it's critical we have strong, do what we can, do the right things we can for our military. Less taxes. America's better when they get to keep more of their own money. It helps families, it helps small business, it helps our economy grow. People instinctively understand that. The spending, cutting spending, getting back to a balanced budget, something we propose at the Republican Study Committee. And then defending traditional values. We are a country that understands life is sacred and should be protected. We're a country that understands that the key institution in our culture is the family institution, and the strength of that ultimately determines the strength of the entire society. And so making sure we make decisions that are best for families, that allow them to make decisions about where they're going to go and what they're going to do, that they get to keep more of their money. So when we do those things, that's great. It's great for the country, and politically it's great for us.